are going to talk about the big news. Paramount Skydance poised to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery after Netflix bows out of the bidding war. Netflix says WBD deal was no longer financially attractive. Warner Brothers now says sale to Paramount will create tremendous value for our shareholders. Now, there's a lot of talk about this, and Netflix would have been a terrible option for theatrical, physical media. It would have been gone. And Warner Brothers, the one thing they've been really good at is physical media.
Yes.
And it would have disappeared. So no more Lord of the Rings, 4Ks, none of that stuff, unless the deal breaks somehow and the Tolkien estate gets it back and then makes more Rings of Power bullshit. Who knows? We'll come up with it later. There is a list of all the stuff they are going to be in charge of. But I think initially we should discuss both sides of this argument. Now, there's some people out there who are thinking, man, this is going to be a return to traditional storytelling. All the woke shit's going to go away. And the other side thinks all the woke shit is going to go away because Ellison's best buds with Trump. David Ellison has been working in Hollywood for years. He's a Nepo baby. His dad's a multi-billionaire. He's run Skydance, and he's run Skydance pretty well. You know, they worked with Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible, so they've done some good stuff. And they've also made Jar Jar Trek. And the Kurtzman Trek that we have right now, they are responsible for. They created the aesthetic for it. Alex Kurtzman wrote on Into Darkness. Now, I think they got the keys to the kingdom for Paramount. Skydance did, Ryan. It was August of last year, if I remember correctly. It hasn't been that long. A lot of deals were in place before they got there, and they have to honor the deals, right? But I know every person on this panel would agree with me that all deals can be broken. You could have shit-canned Starfleet Academy, and it would have never seen the light of day, and you would have been better off for it.
I actually did some research into this yesterday after watching the most recent episode of Starfleet Academy because it was so bad. They would have taken a write-off of around $400 million for not airing the show, but they would have had to have paid out to terminate those contracts close to $100 million. So that what I would then say is, what's the value of the Star Trek brand? You just acquired Paramount. You spent all this money acquiring Paramount. You have the unlimited money glitch. You've got all the money in the world, got more money than God. How much is Star Trek actually worth? And would it have been worth that $100+ million? Because that's all it would have been to clean slate and set a new standard for what Star Trek was going to be. Apparently not.
I mean, there's also you could throw the other people under the bus. You could use this as an example of, and just come out and publicly say it. This is crap. This is what we don't want to do. This is what Star Trek will not be. Look at what these last people made. We're not going to be making this again. And you basically use this as the reason why you have to totally overhaul the franchise.
There are clauses in the contracts with Kurtzman and everybody else involved that if they were to say anything like that and say, well, we didn't think it was good, so we shelved it, they would be able to sue for a specific form of defamation. Now, I'm no lawyer, but there's a specific form in the clauses that they would be able to sue for because that would impact them being able to get jobs and be paid at that caliber that they were running Star Trek for.
Wow.
Paramount Skydance is poised to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery in its entirety after a whirlwind afternoon in which Netflix dropped out of the hunt despite having reached an agreement in December to acquire most of WBD, but not all. Netflix on Thursday afternoon formally declined to increase its offer for Warner Brothers Discovery after WBD declared Paramount's deal superior to that agreement it already had in hand with Netflix. And I think it pumped it up to $32 a share. And I think everybody agrees that they're overpaying. David Zaslav has done his job. He's driven the stock up. It's tripled.
Yeah, so like anybody who bought it would have been overpaying. They're paying a crazy amount of money. And they are not paying because Warner Brothers is a successful, profitable, well-run company right now. They are paying for the potential future with all the different IPs and the back library that they have access to and all that shit. Because Warner Brothers is continuing to lose money. Fuck, Paramount is losing money as it is. The stock was trading around $10 to $12 per share less than 6 months ago, before the rumors about them potentially going up for sale happened. The rumors started, stock shot up. Not because people thought, wow, Warner Brothers has made such an incredible turnaround, but because people knew that this was going to sell probably for close to $30 a share, so they got in on it and stock went up. And it's turning out $31 per share was the Paramount offer. With the ticker, for as long as it takes to get it actually through, it'll go up another quarter per share at like every couple months or something. They don't close the deal. That's a lot of fucking money and a lot of debt for Paramount to take on.
Yes.
What's the total?
It's crazy.
What would be the total figure for the
It's
acquisition?
110 billion roughly.
Around $110 billion, the total acquisition. Yeah.
Yep. And they're getting everything, which, I mean,
Netflix already knew they were overpaying for this, but they were willing to overpay to maybe get access to all these IPs and all the backlogs of their catalogs, all that shit. However, by not matching the over the top $31 per share for the entire company thing from Paramount, and they say, nope, we're good. And yeah, they're going to get several $1 billion just because Warner Brothers broke the deal and is going with someone else. That comes out of Paramount's wallet, obviously.
Yeah,
that's an easy fucking couple billion in chump change for Netflix. And right now, as it stands, Paramount is not a company that is making money. Warner Brothers is also not a company that is making money. So you have the merging of two companies which are not making money in a desperate effort to let's get it fixed. Let's turn these IPs around. Let's take advantage of this stuff. And maybe 10 years down the line, we will start churning this out and start paying that off. That is a high risk proposition.
But it shouldn't be a high risk problem because there's a very simple solution that no one wants to talk about, and it's just make better stuff. People are sitting on their wallets, burning holes in their pockets. Even though we're living in a pretty rough economic time, people want to buy stuff with the little that they have. People want to see good movies. They want to play good video games. They want to see the best television shows, but these companies are incapable of producing that. So you could acquire Scooby-Doo and Superman, but if you can't make Scooby-Doo and Superman, you're going to keep bleeding money.
It's kind of baffling that they would take such an astronomical risk like this and go in such crazy debt when the forecast for the, I guess, the health and prosperity of Hollywood and mainstream entertainment could not be worse, especially with AI, just looming over everything. It's like, I can't believe that they're going so hard in on this. It doesn't look like it's going to turn out well, honestly.
Now, David Ellison has said multiple times that they plan to embrace AI and the benefits that it could potentially have, while being cagey about, he's not saying we're going to fire everybody, replace everybody with AI, but they have said they're going to try to leverage AI to their advantage.
Also, as to the risk, Allison has said before that if they didn't get Warner Brothers, it wouldn't be the end of the world. They have a way to make Paramount profitable. This was their way of accelerating getting to profitability faster by taking on all of this stuff. So he actually thinks this somehow, by taking on more debt, is less risky. I don't see how that works in reality. Just do they think because they've got more IPs, that just means more money inevitably? That's not how that works.
You have higher upside, right, with these IPs, with these
more potential.
You have higher upside and potential to recoup that, but you have to show us you can make good things. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That has to be what happens.
Yeah, I can't say outside of Taylor Sheridan, particularly for Paramount Plus, who they're letting walk in 2028. I haven't really seen it. Mobland, they're making Mobland. What Paramount movies are coming out this year?
I have no idea.
So here's a list of everything that Paramount will control. HBO, HBO Max, CNN, CBS, DC Studios, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim, Paramount Plus, Nickelodeon, MTV, Showtime, TNT, Comedy Central, Turner Classic Movies, DC Comics. That's a conversation by itself. That is an entire... How is Paramount going to deal with the publishing division? Are they going to keep them autonomous? Are they going to cut them? Before we even move on, what is going to happen for sure is redundancies and layoffs. That's what happens with every merger.
Yep.
So when I was posted about this on X, I said, hey, this is the better of two bad. The best option would have been Warner Brothers surviving on their own. That would have been the best option. So Paramount is definitely better than Netflix. Selfish reasons, physical media, and for theatrical, but we're still going to get less theatrical movies than what we have gotten if we had two separate independent studios. That number will still shrink, and we've seen that happen with Fox and Disney. We now have 10 to 14 less major films in theaters each year because of that merger, right? So they also will control Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Star Trek, Mission Impossible, Transformers, The Conjuring, A Quiet Place, Mortal Kombat, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Looney Tunes, Tom and Jerry, Beetlejuice, Gremlins, SpongeBob SquarePants, Avatar, The Last Airbender, and Dora the Explorer, Ryan's favorite. So, and Warner Brothers is in debt, and they sold because they have been complete fucking idiots with the stuff they control, with everything, absolutely everything.
Just having the rights to the top 6, like it should just be printing constant money with no risk at all.
It's not only the rights to the top 6, but the rights to the top 6 combined with control over HBO, which is done a good job and proven to have done a good job with a number of particularly TV dramas. I mean, Lord of the Rings under HBO, given roughly the same treatment as Night of the Seven Kingdoms, would be probably much better than Lord of the Rings under Amazon, as just one example. But they weren't using their best talent for their best products, and it sort of remains to be seen whether Paramount would.
Would this deal mean that Paramount at the end would have more large IPs than Disney, or would Disney still be winning on that front?
It really depends on what you consider a large IP, because Disney probably has access to massive IPs that are huge, but we don't even fucking think about them that way. You know what I mean? Because it might be consumed a lot, but it's by kids.
There's also...
Would you say Finding Nemo and Toy Story, or would you say Pixar? Because you could break it down, and then Disney has
or Marvel or Iron Man and that kind of thing.
Exactly. So as far as
correct, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like those things all fall under the Disney banner, just like all of these things fell under the Warner Brothers banner before. So Disney has a lot
with those. Let's say top 4 franchises right there. Game of Thrones is based on an unfinished story where they're just doing side projects and prequels. Lord of the Rings made the greatest trilogy ever made, and your only option in the world that they control would be to remake it or keep slipping in like little prequels and stuff. They don't really have. The Hunt for Gollum, which is just fucking ridiculous. Harry Potter, they announced the TV show. Is Paramount going to change the casting of Black Snape?
The problem is it's already filming in 2.
It's already filming. Yeah.
And beyond that, though, Paramount is not actually going to take control of Warner Brothers
for a while.
Probably 6 to 12 months, just to be realistic.
So that project's in. So Harry Potter is already in motion. They can't really change it. Star Trek, they are allowing Star Trek to continue under Kurtzman for at least the next 6 to 12 months, maybe a little longer, because we're getting 2 seasons of Strange New Worlds, and we're getting another season of Starfleet Academy after this.
Jesus.
So there's the brand damage on Star Trek. Mission Impossible is done. Tom Cruise is old.
You could do a Mission Impossible TV series and just have Mission of the Week, take it back to its roots. You'd make money.
That would probably be best.
Please.
Yep. That would probably be best.
Go back to some Monster of the Week, Villain of the Week TV shows,
somehow get Taylor Sheridan involved, and hey.
They can't do that.
I know, but still.
One of the other things to factor in with all of this, say for like the rights to the Harry Potter movies. Yeah, if you make this TV show and you could get revenue from that, maybe 20 years down the line, you can make more movies and get money from that. But also the ones that are made, you control those. So if you rent to Netflix for 6 months the Harry Potter series, or the way they rent it to NBC Universal and shit like that, even for the things that have been made and the massive back catalog of shit that is involved with all these franchises, those are still money makers for these companies. You're not putting anything out, but you're just getting it from people watching, or people are sharing it, licenses out to different streaming services, all of that shit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So the point I was making is like, those are great franchises, and Night of the Seven Kingdoms that we're going to talk about, that's great, but they're like moving forward. There's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing there, and you're not really doing anything new. You can't make any more Harry Potter movies because you're making the series. Lord of the Rings trilogy already done, and if you remade it, it would be shit. There's nowhere to move forward. Game of Thrones, unfinished story, unless you remade it. So like your only real options are remaking it or slipping in prequels or side stories. So their value is in name alone at this point, but they don't have a lot of great prospects coming up. And Star Trek.
One of the things you're also forgetting, and I know, Gary, I'm sure this is on the back of your mind because you're a pro gamer, they also have control of WB Games and those gaming properties, right?
Yes.
So people have been begging for a new Lord of the Rings game and shit like that. Obviously, we saw what happened with Hogwarts Legacy and the potential Hogwarts Legacy 2 coming out in recent years. Like, that was massive for them, clearly. So that's another thing when it comes to Mortal Kombat, when it comes to all that shit. Falls under WB Games.
I think you guys are underestimating Dora the Explorer dominance that we have here. We're going to get a Dora the Explorer empire.
There we go.
Next.
Hola, me llama Dora.
Dora-verse.
There's ice agents at my door.
Oh, no me gusta. have to go back to my country now.
And I'm really curious, like, what happens to DC Comics. Like, I think
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
And then there's James Gunn. There's James Gunn who, just, took this big deal, and now the company is sold out from under him. So he's not on a good foundation at all. And now he's got a whole new set of people coming in a year, right? That are going to have to, he's going to need to impress them to keep paying for his movies. And he's universe.
He can impress them with the $1 billion that Supergirl's going to make at this.
You know what? You're right. I sit corrected. Supergirl is gonna keep that DCU going, and if that farts out, what happens there? Do you restart the DCU again?
Well, it's okay, because then Clayface that's going to come out next year as well, and that's going to sort everything out for him.
Yeah, the James Gunn stuff's going to be funny to watch over time, and we'll see if it gets gaslit as much as it did when the company was for sale after it's been sold. That'll be curious too. Very curious.
Nerderotic.com. Please subscribe.